Now that you've done the breakdown of the 15-year mortgage compared to the 30-year mortgage, where these first three boxes should be the same: the price of your home, the down payment, which is 0.15 times the price of your home, 15%. Then you subtract the price, subtract the down payment, and that's how much your principal is. That's how much you need to borrow from the bank. Then you should have your monthly payment, the interest, and then if you add your interest and the amount you borrowed, that's how you're gonna get to your total price down there. You add up the amount you borrowed plus the interest, and those are the actual total amounts that you'll pay for the home over the course of the loan. Now it's time to decide, well, how long is it going to take me to, or how much money can I make off this depending on when I sell it? So I'm gonna look at my price of home and down payment and copy that down on my sheet, 300,000, 45,000. Then I'm gonna go back to the same NerdWallet mortgage calculator. I'll make sure that that's typed in properly, 30,000, 45,000. But this time I'm gonna go to this amortization tab, which gives you a year-by-year breakdown of how much you still owe to the bank, how much of the house that you've paid off, and how much the bank has already made off of you at that point. And you're gonna wanna gather this data from 0 to 30 years, just every 5 years though. So at year 0, I still owe 255,000 with 0 principal and 0 interest. So over here, I'll write down those data points, 0, 0. And now I'll move the little drag thing to 5 years. So I'll go and drag it over to see what happens after 5 years. Now I'll go copy down this information at 5 years. You're gonna continue to do that for each of those intervals all the way down to 30. After you successfully go through all 30 years, you should have your full table of after that many years, how much you still owe to the bank, after that many years, how much of the house you've actually paid off versus how much money that the bank has already made off of you. Now we're ready to determine how much money are you gonna make depending on how much you sell your house for. Now this tab, guys, right here, this column, the new home price, when you try to sell, you guys are gonna have to come up with this number on your own, and you can make your own assumptions. You can ask yourself, how much money will you make if you sell it for the same price that you bought it, if it doesn't increase in value at all? Or you can use some of Denver's trends and make it a little bit more. And you can sort of determine, you can play around with what you wanna sell it for, and then you can determine how much money you'd make. So for maybe at year 5, I wanna see how much money will I make if I sell it for the same exact price. But for 10 years, I'm gonna pretend like I was able to sell it for a little bit more money, 375,000. You guys get to go through and pick how much you wanna try to sell your home for after that many years. You're creating that number out of your assumptions and out of your brain. After you do that, we can go over and decide how much income will you make from the sale. And you're gonna calculate your income by taking the new home price minus the remaining balance. So I'm gonna subtract 300,000 minus the remaining balance that I still owe to the bank. And when I subtracted my new home price from what I still owe to the bank, I got that I'm going to make $68,896. That's how much money will literally be in my bank account. But if you wanna know your total profit, how much money you actually made, because that doesn't include how much money you paid to the bank and how much money that you already paid from your house. So now you're gonna take the income you made from your sale and you're gonna subtract the principal you paid and the interest that you paid. So when I take my calculator, I'm gonna take my income that I made from it, but I need to subtract the interest that the bank made off of me over those years. And I need to subtract how much money I went ahead and paid to the house. So in this circumstance, after I took my income and I subtracted the interest paid and the principal paid, that means if I sold it after 5 years for the same price, I would have lost $5,000 and $5,255. So if that's how much I was gonna sell it for, I shouldn't sell it at 5 years, so I'm gonna lose money. But let's see what happens at 10 years if I try to sell it for more than I bought it. To get my income, I'm gonna take my new home price minus the remaining balance, 375,000 minus the remaining balance. And this time I'm gonna make a lot more money. I'm gonna make $173,256. That's how much money will be in my bank account if I sold it for that much money. But if we want to know how much money you actually made, you have to take your income and subtract the principal and interest that you paid over those 10 years. So now I'm going to subtract the principal, 53,256, and now I'm going to subtract the interest paid. So in this case, I would have made $24,953 if I take away all of those payments I was making to the banks over those 10 years. So even though that's how much money I'll get when I sell it, that's how much money I actually made over those 10 years if you take away the cost as you paid off your loan.